Hello, everyone. Yes, good morning. Good morning to all of you who are so punctual to stay on the webinar now. And I know that you all getting ready to start today's section. Okay, before started, I would like to introduce myself. I am Eunice from Smart Solution, and I will be the today's host of this webinar. And also with me, we have Calvin here. Calvin will be the main speaker, the main trainer for today's section, who he will teach you about the e-invoice implementations, functions, the process, and how it link with the system, how to use the system to fulfill all the e-invoices transaction needs. So before started, because we received very good response from all of you that you are so eagerly want to join to this section. So I was letting the floor to flow in. It's about 160 people here with me. So before that, maybe you it's good to let us know that is this the first time you join our online section? We are talking about where we're talking about the e-invoicing. So if you are the first one join, maybe you type a one in the chat. Okay, wow. Okay, so there's a lot of new joiners here. Thank you very much. And if you come here more than one time because you want to join us for a refreshment to refresh again your memory about the e-invoicing process, maybe you type a two, let us know. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, 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 okay. Oh, that's good. That's good. So we really appreciate that all for you here giving us a chance that to be gather online and we get into the topic of e-invoicing again. If this is new to you, actually, not be afraid. E-invoicing, if you haven't attend, you might think that it's very confusing, very a lot of things to memory. Actually, it's not too. Actually, you just need to have a basic understanding of the concept, and then once you get started and use it, it will just be very easy. It's just a click of thing. But before that, you need to know the concept lah. So we have today's section. Uh, yes. So before started, I also like to share you something about a new platform of us of Smart. So let me share screen. Okay. So okay, I believe that you can see my share screen. Yes, I will be very happy to introduce you all that. We have a new apps that launched by Smart. It's called Smart to You. This is the apps that completely free. You can get it. You can download at Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, and the Huawei App Gallery to get these apps. Then what is this apps to do? Is basically it's an information apps to let us introduce or announce or publish the updates that would like you all to have the first hand uh, notification. So okay, so I just quickly browse through what it is in this app. So basically, it's like just now I briefly introduced is the platform that we connected the information from us directly to you. So with this app, you can directly browse the solution or the product information, and you can get the downloads the flyers, the brochures, and also like today webinars. After the webinars, we also have the webinars material. This slide, sorry, not this slide, is the slide later that will be uploaded to this app. Then you can download it and keep for your own reference for your study. Okay, and with this app, you also can have a first-hand notification on every event, on-ground event or the online event like the webinars we have. Then you also have the information and you can register through it. So this is just a very convenient way for you all to keep connected with us lah. Okay. If you haven't downloaded it, yeah. So yeah, this is some of the the layout that you get the information of the products and solutions. And if you haven't downloaded it, this is the QR code here. I'll stay here for 10 seconds. Then you can scan and download. You can type or you can scan to download. Why it's so important for you to download? Because actually November, today it will be the last webinar for this month that we share about the e-invoicing. But next month we will also open 2 more webinars section for the Q&A, which is today is the can say most of the basic information about the e-invoicing processing thing. But for next month, it's more to the questions that we have been asked a lot or we have been go through or some general guidelines from the LHDN that we like to share with you. And also, if you want to throw us some more questions, I think after this section, we will have the Google link here. You will get a notification of the Google link here for you to key in. You can input whatever questions that you would like to ask. Then we will collect it, and then for next month that we will produce it as a webinar also in the Q&A form, so you can have the more relatable section with us. So okay, so I believe that if you have download, also don't forget to enable the get notified. Okay, so you get the notification. Okay, so so I think a lot of people already here. Yes. So let us drive to the section, the main topic of the section. So we are about the invoicing. Then some of the people, they already go through it, phase 1, 2, 3. Then now is going to be the phase 4, which is happened on January 1st, 2026. So for every phase, actually, they also have a grace period. The grace period is about 6 months. So what is the grace period? Later, Kevin also will cover in the grace period what you can do. What grace period means that it's because the government, they want to give you some time to get adapted to this new system and new policy. So you are allowed to do the consolidate in invoice. But after the grace period, then you have to do all the e-invoicing accordingly, and they might come to audit after the grace period. They come to audit if that you have something mistakenly do, then they will have a penalty to be imposed. So the penalty is actually starting from 200 ringgit to 20,000 per mistake. It depends on the severity. So we don't want to do this mistake. We don't want to be in trouble and be fined by the LHDN, so we do it properly. Okay, so okay, so I'd like to invite Calvin to come on the stage and give us the section. This section may probably is about 1.5 hours. So we will target before 1 p.m., 12:45 like that to be finished. So along the way, if you have any query, you still can type in the chat or the Q&A section. We have our crew on the back, at the back, and we will answer your questions in the Q&A in the chat. Or if we still have some times towards the end of the section, then we also will try to answer the questions within the time. Okay, so Calvin, you may take on the screen. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Calvin. So before I start, let me share out my screen first. Okay, so once again, good morning, everyone. I'm Calvin. So I'm today's speaker for this e-invoice sections. So hello. Okay, so once again, good morning, everyone. So I'm Kevin. I'm speaker for today's e-invoice section. Okay, so thanks for Eunice and the team for inviting me as a speaker for today's e-Invoice section. So, before we start off with our e-Invoice section, so I believe everybody already know what is e-Invoice. Okay, so e-Invoice now is becoming a compulsory action for all of the retailers. Okay, so in this e-Invoice sections, I will cover what is e-Invoice, what should we do in e-Invoice, okay, and how our system will help in this e-Invoice process. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so e-Invoice, what should we need to do in e-Invoice? So in this e-Invoice module, right, in this e-Invoice section, we will cover how do we set up e-Invoice setting in our system and also in your MyText portal. Okay, so how to key in all the details for customer, supplier, and your company as well, and how to check is it the information correct, and we will talk about e-invoice transaction flow. How do we submit all those transactions for B2B, business to business, and also B2C, business to customer transactions. For e-commerce and marketplace sales, how do we submit self-bill? And for some of the scenario like disbursement and reimbursement, we also will cover. And how do we submit claim? For that claims, employees claim situation, we also will cover. How do we need to tackle for that issue? And I will also will show about some of the features like e-Invoice Dashboard and submission flow, all that in these sections. So, okay, how do e-Invoice work? So you can base on the e-Invoice overview workflow that I share here. You see, so first step, we issue e-Invoice. So how do we issue invoice? It's very easy. Just create a normal invoice, like normally how you create the invoice. So we will when you submit the e-invoice, our system will send to LHDN in validates. So after the e-invoice is successfully submitted, LHDN site will return us a UUID number. The UUID number later I will explain on what is UUID number and how do we check is the UUID number is valid. Okay, so after we submit, we will get notification from the portal. After you get the notification, after you check, the document is already valid, so you can start sharing off your e-invoice to your customer or to your customer. So after you send off the reports, right? If you have any things you want to, let's say, if you found anything wrong with the document, if you want to process or reject, you can perform reject or cancellation for the e-invoice. So this one we will definitely cover as well. After that, the last step is after you've done everything, after you submit the invoice to us, then you and your customer can always check the document status through e-invoice portal as well. Okay, so this is our smart e-invoice works in our system. So as you can see, our Dynamod, it handles store investment, store management system. So it will help to submit the invoice to LHDN. And also our post system will also have the function to help our customer to submit e-invoice as well. So later I will explain about how our download works and how our post works for this e-invoice process. So before we start off the e-invoice setting, or before you start off your e-invoice setting based on my instructions, there's some few points you need to take care about. First thing, you need to make sure your current system version is up to latest. Okay, so the latest one will be the 2025.3 build 0 and the latest hotfix will be a hotfix 7 lah. Okay, so you need to make sure your Dynamod version is 2025.3 build 0 hotfix 7. Okay, so this is necessary. And also for the touch post, either you are touch post 2.0 or touch FMP 2.0, you also need to make sure your versions is up to 2025.3 build 6. Okay, besides that, you also need to check for your e-invoice license validations. Okay, so as you can see, our e-invoice module is based on subscription. You need to make sure the e-invoice module is valid and confirmed. So how do you check for this? For this action, you may check with your salesperson. So let's go about Dynamod e-invoice maintenance and validations. So in our system, there's some settings we need to set. All right. So first thing first, we need to set up the e-invoice store setup, company e-invoice profile setting, and location e-invoice profile setting. All right. So first three steps, after you done setting for first three steps, then we can proceed with the second step. The second step will be your customer or your supplier e-invoice detail setup. Okay. So for the third step and the fourth step, classification code update and e-invoice utility tools we will cover as well. Okay, so let's talk about how do we do our first setting. How do we enable our e-invoice setting in our Dynamod? So first, you can go to our common module, the green panel here, common module. So after you click this common module, you look at your right side, we have our right menu here. Then you can choose for company default setting. Okay, I repeat. So first thing first, go to common module. Then you notice right side menu and click for company default setting. After you click the company default setting, you will able to see this slide, this screen. So what to do? In the left menu here, select number 5, e-invoice Malaysia. And it will show up this screen. So what you need to do, you need to click this button, Enable e-Invoice Malaysia. You need to click this button in order for our system to process with the e-invoice functions. Okay, so after you take it, you also need to set the e-invoice effective date. Let's say you are starting with next year January, then you may set 1st of January. But if because in our situation, LHDN allow us to test submit in their testing environment. Although you start using your e-invoice in 1st of January, but let's say if you want to test submit in earlier, then the date you may set earlier. Let's say your e-invoice start date is first day of January, but let's say you want to test submit from now, then you can type it today's date. Okay, so after we enable our setting, now we can proceed with e-invoice store setup. So how do we go to the e-invoice store setup? We can look for the e-invoice Malaysia panel here. Click for e-invoice panel. Right side, click for setup. Then you may look for e-invoice store. Okay, for those users that are not familiar with the button here, you may click the start button at the bottom to show out this menu. You can look for the number 7, e-Invoice Malaysia. set up an e-invoice store as well. So once you click inside, you will see the screen something like this. So this is our e-invoice store setup screen. So what we need to do, okay? So this one you may recall it, okay? So I will get you one by one how to reset it. So first thing first, you click this add button, plus button, add a record. The store ID, you may give a store ID. Okay, so this one is optional, is based on your SOP lah. See whether what you want to put. Okay, what you want to put. So after you given a store ID, you given a descriptions, make sure the status is active and default for e-invoice process. The e-invoice effective date, make sure is correct. Then you may click more. You may click more. So you can see you have two different options. All right. Set production URL and set box URL. So what it means, production URL is for actual submission purpose, and sandbox is for testing purpose. Okay. So this one is based on your decision, and you may set the setting based on your decision. So let's say I set for actual one. So I click set production URL. Then I need to click this set intermediary configuration. So after you click this, it would show up the client ID and client secret as well. And also, don't forget to change this client login option to intermediary system, as you use our system you use our Dynamod as an intermediary to submit the e-invoice. So after you done all these steps above, you may click save to save the record. So this is how we do for the e-invoice store setup for e-invoice. So since just now I talked about what is intermediary and how to reset Smart as an intermediary in e-invoice portal. So now I will guide you how to reset an intermediary in e-invoice portal. So before I teach you how to set up, I would like to have a sharing with you what is intermediary. So intermediary, LHDN provides two options for business to issue e-invoice. Okay, so first is you can submit your transactions through the portal manually. What it means? It means you can submit your transaction by logging their website and type in the document one by one manually. Or second option, you can use API integrations. Okay, so by using the API integration, you will need to have the software company's informations, which included TIN number, BRN stand for business registration number, and the company name. And we need to set this software company as an intermediary in the LHDN portal there. So basically the intermediary is act like a middleman, a service provider to help you submit the e-invoice setting in invoice processor. So now I will talk about how do we set up the intermediary in the e-invoice portal. All right. Okay. So first thing first, you will need to open your mytaxcastle.government.my, which is the My Invoice portal, through your browser, either Google Chrome or either Firefox also can, as long as you can uh, proceed with the link, then you need to open it. So after you log in to your My portal, first thing first, you need to click this blue icon button, blue icon profile button. Okay. So second, you need to click View Text Player Profile. So it will show you your company profile or your personal profile. Then under this representative, you may select the last one, intermediaries, and we click Add Intermediary. So after you click Add Intermediary, so this is the place where I explained just now. You need to fill in, you need to key in the service provider information, let's say PIN number, CRN, and company name. So this is our smart company team, CRN, and company name for setup. So after you key in all these things, you may click continue. Okay. For this representative form, you will need to key in the date where you set the e-invoice photo. Let's say I today set this intermediary setting, then I key in for today's date. And the representation tool, for the representation tool state, right? The year, normally based on our practice, we will set the year as far as possible. All right. So maybe 2050, 2060, 2070. No problem. Okay. Then the permission below here, you need to enable all the permissions. All right. You need to enable all of the permissions. If you didn't do this, our system not able to do like submit document, not able to perform cancel document, all these actions. So if you want to use the action, you need to make sure in this setup, you need to enable all permissions. Okay. So after you enable all permission, you may click Add Intermediary. So after you add intermediary, you will see we have a records in the intermediary parts where we will show our company name, PIN number, and PR. So so how do we see if this status correct? Is this intermediary ready to be used? You may scroll to the right and you will have a status show active. So if the status is show active means yes, the thing is correct. The intermediary is ready to be used. So here are the active status. Okay. So now let's back to our Dynamod. We have few more settings to set. Okay. The second setting. Just now we have go through the e-invoice stuff. We go through how do we set the intermediary in my invoice portal. Now we will proceed with another setting in our Dynamod, which is e-invoice project setup. So how do we set up and where do we set up for the setting? We can go to e-invoice Malaysia panel here. Right side, hit e-invoice project. So, okay, maybe you will ask, actually, what is this e-invoice project setup? This e-invoice project setup is a setup for our system to help you automate the process flow. Okay, what do we mean by automate the process flow? In our system, we have two types of submission type. Okay, so first is manual submission, and second is auto submissions. Auto submission means our system will auto help you submit the e-invoice transactions. So if you choose to use auto submissions, you will always need to set up this e-invoice project setup. Okay, so how do we set up? First thing first, you give a project ID, project description, and this effective date you need to base on the setting previously to set. Let's say your e-invoice store is on November 1st of November, then you need to set the invoice date in this e-invoice project setup same as 1st of November as well. Okay, then you may click the three dot button here in this store ID column to choose the store ID. After you select the store ID, you may click this populate task. So after you click the populate task, it will load all the jobs, all the things that require system to auto run. So you just need to click this populate task. It will show all the tasks. Then you may just click save. Okay. So all of the above the setting that I mentioned is for our system setting for e-invoice process. Now, in below section, I would like to let you know how to reset for your company e-invoice process. So what do we mean for your company e-invoice process? Means like we will teach you how do you key your company e-invoice detail in our system. Let's say if you have multi-locations, multi-outlets, multi-branch, how do we set up for that? So as you can see in the screen, these all are all of the basic information that you require for the company and location setup. So no worry about this. Later I will brief you one by one. How do we key in for the details? Okay, so MSIC code. All right, so I think MSIC code, some of you familiar with it, some of you are not familiar and don't know what is it. Never mind. So I will explain. So MSIC code actually is a set of 5-digit code from the LCN to identify what of the business nature you are doing. So by using this code, LHJN will know, you are doing for restaurant, you are doing for construction. So this is a set of codes that helps LHDN to identify what are the business nature are you doing for. So how do we set up the MSIC codes? All right. So in Dynamod, you can follow this step. You can go to the e-invoice Malaysia panel, set up e-invoice codes table, and click e-invoice MSIC. So once you click inside, you will see we already prepare a list of the common MSIC code for you to select. Okay, so you show something like this. Let's say if you find out your MSIC code is not in our system, so what do we do? No worry, you can always add a new code to it. So later I will go through how do we add also lah. So first thing first, how do we set up our company e-invoice settings, your company e-invoice details to the system? So you can go to common module, set up company, the place where you set the report header. Okay. So in the middle part, you will find out we have a new tab here, new selection tab here. So you click inside e-invoice. After you click inside e-invoice, you will see we have a e-invoice form here. As you can see, yellow color is compulsory form, compulsory section that you need to fill in. while white color is optional. So how do we fill in? How do we fill in? So I will teach you one by one. I will teach you one by one. I will explain to you how do you fill in. Okay. So for first column, registration number type. So once you click this registration number type, you will see we have four selections: PRN, IC, passport, and Army. Army stand for Army codes. Okay. So this registration number type, you need to base on your situation to set it. Let's say today you are setting for your customer and your customer is under company, then you may select PRN. But let's say if you have a situation, say your customer is not under company, is under personal, okay, then you can select for IC. Okay, so this one is based on your situation. Second column, registration number. Oh, this registration number is always based on the first column that you choose. If you are choosing PRN, then you need to key in your or customer PRN number. If you are choosing IC, then you need to fill in IC number. Okay, so in this registration number, you need to take notes on it. For BRN, if you are using BRN, you will need to key in the BRN with new formats, which is the 12-digit BRN number. For those BRN, let's say 6 digit in front, then alphabet behind that one, we not recommend to use. If have the new registration number, then you need to fill in the new registration number. For IC, if you are select for IC, then when you key in IC, you need to make sure you don't key in the symbol. IC must always number only. Not able to key in symbol, not able to key in blank. Okay. Then the column is the TIN number. Registration name represents the company name. Contact number. If you have contact number, then you may key in contact number. When you key in the contact number, also same, cannot have any symbol, cannot have any blank space. Need to make sure all the contact number is pure digits only. If you don't have their contact number, you may just key in 80. Okay. Email, optional. SST. If your customer have SST, then you may key in their SST registration number. So for this SST registration number, you are able to key in the symbol with the dash line. So I'll repeat again. For this SST number, you are able to key in the symbol. Tourism tax. If you have any company which have this tourism tax, you may key. If you don't have, you just type NA. And MSICID. So in this MSICID, you may click this three-dot button here to show off the list that I showed you just now, to select the MSIC code. Or you can just type in the MSIC code as well. Let's say if your customer is under personal, it's not under company, it's under personal, then you may type 50. 50 is represent not applicable. Then bottom, address, company address, or your customer address, and this postal zone. Postal zone, you need to take care, you need to take note, because some of our customers, they will get confused. postal zone is your postcode here. Is your postcode. Just like the slide they are sharing just now is your postcode. So normally our customer they will confuse is what they thought the postal zone is the area name. So let's say postal zone they are not typing 58200, they just put Kochai Lama. So this is wrong. Postal zone is postcode. Following. This city name is the area name they are mentioned just now. City name you can put Kuala Lumpur, Kochai Lama, Changi, that's all that. State ID. State ID is represent the state in Malaysia. So in LHDN view, all the state they are not category as the wording. They are not category as a wording. They use codes to represent it. So maybe you say, hey, I don't know what is the code. Don't worry. You can click this three dot button. So in our system, we already set a complete list of state ID for you to use. So you just need to click this three dot button and select the state. So same as the country ID as well. We also prepare a list of the complete country ID for you as well. So you just need to click this three dot button to select the country ID. So one thing you need to always remember for your workflow efficiency is for Malaysia, country ID will be MYS. So you need to remember this. Okay. Next. After you done clearing all the things, you may click save. So maybe just you may click save lah. Okay. For the locations, what we need to do, you may go to common module, set up locations. Or to say you click inside one of the locations. Simply one of the location enough. Let's say you have 10 locations, 10 different branches. Okay, so you just need to simply click one of the locations. Then click this e-invoice tab. So you may find out this button. So we have the first button A and the second button looks like the car. So what is this button used? For the first button means it will copy the company e-invoice registration elements to these locations. So you don't need to type again. As long as this location is belongs to the same company, then you can use this A button to copy the company e-invoice details into this location. Okay, what is the second button? Second button, the file. So second button is the same function, but it's for all locations. Let's say you have 10 locations. You just need to simply click one of the location and click this file button. So it will copy the company e-invoice registration element to all of the location. Okay, so in this way, it will help you to minimize many steps lah. As you don't need to set the location one by one, you just need to simply go inside location, click one button, so that it will copy all the e-invoice details to all the location. Okay. So just now we have covered how do we set up e-invoice detail in our company. And also we cover how do we set up the location details in our system. Now we will cover how do we set up supplier and customer details. Okay, so this is all the information that required for supplier and customer. So make sure you need to collect all this info from your supplier and all this 9 info from your customer. Okay, For your supplier setup, let's go through about supplier first. Huh? So how do we key in the e-invoice detail for your supplier? You may go to supplier module, setup, supplier. Okay, so for this supplier setup, there's something I need to share with you. Okay, not all not all of the supplier you need to key the details. Okay, there's only two situations you need to key in the supplier details. First situation, your supplier is from overseas, which this supplier is overseas supplier. If your supplier is overseas supplier, then yes, you need to key in their details. Second situation, your supplier haven't start using e-invoice yet. So how do we mean your supplier haven't start using e-invoice yet? So let's say you start using e-invoice in next year January, but your supplier they start using e-invoice in next year July. So which means that you are using e-invoice first, while your supplier will start use first. So in this situation, yes, you need to key in this supplier e-invoice details. For those supplier which already start using e-invoice or they start with the same batch as yours, then you don't need to key in the supplier details. Why? Because your supplier, they will help you submit e-invoice. Just like you help your customer submit e-invoice, your supplier will help you submit e-invoice. Except for those two scenarios that I mentioned just now, which is your overseas supplier and those suppliers that are not using e-invoice yet. So for those two scenarios, supplier, yes, you need to go to supplier module, select supplier, then you select e-invoice to fill all the details. So as you can see, these details is same details, same form as the company setting there. So you select their registration number type, key in their registration number, PIN number, supplier company name, contact number, SST if got, if don't have, put NF, tourism tax. If they have tourism tax, then you put their tourism tax registration number. If don't have, then you put NA. Select their MSIC ID, key in their address, key in their postcodes, city name, state ID, and country ID. Okay. So after you key in all this, you will have an extra step for this supplier step. You need to take this one, self-build e-invoice supplier. So what it means by self-build e-invoice supplier? It means those supplier, they didn't help you submit e-invoice. So you submit for yourself, you declare yourself. So this situation, you need to add HTML by clicking this self-build e-invoice supplier. Okay. So remember, if you have these two scenario of supplier, you need to take this button. Okay. Okay. So maybe some of you will wonder, if for foreign supplier, how do we key in their details? Okay. You may follow me. For foreign supplier, registration number type, you can put BRN. Registration number, you can put NA. As they don't have Malaysia business registration number, you can put NA. TIN number, you can select GD30. So this one TIN number later we will explain about what do you need to select it. So for our foreign supplier, you will need to select GT30. Okay. TIN number, they don't have TIN number. TIN number is GT30, sorry. Registration name is their company name. Contact number, SST, they don't have SST, put NA. Tourism tax NA. So MSIC ID. So for foreign supplier, MSIC ID will be 50. Address, if you have their address, you may fill in. If don't have, you can put NA. Postal zone, postal zone, if you have, you can put. If don't have, put 50. City name, NA. If you have their city name, you can put as well. No problem. So the most important thing is state ID because it's foreign supplier is not in Malaysia. So state ID, what should we put? We have an option which is 17. Okay. 17, 17, yeah, is represent applicable. And the country ID, you may click this three dot to select the country ID. If you don't know what is the short form codes for the country ID, you may click this three dot button to view and select it. So this is the way to key in the e-invoice detail for foreign supplier. Okay. Next, we go to customer. So customer also same. Just we key in different places. So where do we key in the e-invoice detail? We can key in customer module, select customer. Okay. So also same, you click the e-invoice tag at the middle, then you will able to see this form again. So you, just like the supplier, just like the customer, you may key accordingly as well, based on the informations. Registration type, registration number, TIN number, company name, contact number, SST if have, if don't have, put NA, tourism tax if have, don't have, then put NA, MSIC ID code, address, postal zone, city name, select state ID and select country ID. Okay, so let's talk about the general TIN. So we have four general TIN number from LHDN. We have GG10, GG20, 30, and 40. So I will explain what are the usage for this four general TIN number. GG10 is for local Malaysians. It represent a local supplier and local customer. GT20 is for overseas buyer, overseas customer. GT30 is overseas supplier, where GT40 is for government agency. Okay. So beside we have those TIN number selections, we also have few functions. So the first function is this star function. So this star function is actually to check whether the details that you key is correct or not. So not all the details that you will check. You will only check TIN number and also the registration number only. So once you click this star button, it will show you, you will come back the result whether it's valid or invalid. Second, we are able to search for TIN number if the TIN number is invalid. So before you use this function, you need to make sure the registration number is correct because our system will use this registration number to search for the TIN number. Okay, so if the registration correct, then you go through the LHDN there and search for the TIN number. So it will ask you, do you want to copy to clipboard? If yes, then you copy copy key in this section. Third, so this one, the third button is taxpayer QR search. So what it means in this year LHDN updates, it provide us QR codes. So this QR code you can generate in your own My Tax portal there. So in future, maybe you want to collect your customer e-invoice detail, you will not maybe lah, you will not receive any tax information anymore. It will just pass you the QR code. So this QR code you can load to our system, and our system will able to read this QR code and auto get their e-invoice detail. So after get that e-invoice detail, you click OK, the system will auto help you key in inside system lah. So it will help you to minimize human error and save time also. So next, e-invoice utility tools. So in e-invoice utility tool, we are able to use the system to check whether the company, location, customer, or supplier TIN number is correct or not. Okay, so maybe you ask, hey, just now I also can check already, ma. Why we still need to talk about this one? This one is different. This one we can check in a bulk, which we one button to check all. So how do we check? You can go to e-invoice Malaysia, transaction and taxpayer TIN validation here. So you can either to check company and locations. So based on your selections, then you can click refresh data to load all the data. Select the data that you want to check. Right click it and click this one submit for text team validations. So if correct, then you will show validated lah. If not correct, they will show not validated. Same as customer and supplier, also at the same place. E-invoice Malaysia transaction taxpayer team validation. We have either customer and supplier also able to check lah. It will show you validate success or not. So if have a tick in validate success means this detail is correct. Next, maybe some of the customer will say, oh, I have 100 customer. You want me to key in one by one. Actually, in our system, we able to let you uh, import your customer invoice detail inside our system by using Excel file. So how do we import the Excel file into our system? You can go to e-invoice Malaysia, set up utilities here. You can either select import customer or supplier based on your scenario, based on your decisions. Okay. So in this format ID here, you need to select customer e-invoice. Then you click export data. So you get a list of this Excel file. So based on this Excel file template, you key in all your customer or your supplier informations into this Excel file. Then you come back to this page, click browse file to select the Excel file that you key in just now and click process. So it will help you import the e-invoice details to the system. Okay. Okay, so what is classification codes? Okay, so classification, we have two types. We have stock codes and also account codes. Okay, so these two also able to set the classification codes, but in our system default, we already help you to set all default. So this one you don't need to worry about. Okay, so for all of the items, it will have their own classification codes lah. So this is the list. So, but no worry about it. In our system, we auto have it to set to 0 to 2 others. Okay. So let's go to the main thing. Okay, so Dynamod e-invoice transaction. How do we submit our transaction through Dynamod? Okay, so what are the documents you need to submit for e-invoice? Your transaction, B2B transaction, B2C transactions, and your e-commerce transaction. So this e-commerce transaction, later I will explain a bit. Okay, not all the e-commerce transaction you need to submit. Okay. Also, self-bill. Self-bill is the transaction for the supplier that I mentioned just now, and disbursement and reimbursement, and also employee claim. Okay, these are the documents that you need to submit to HCM. Okay, so let's talk about B2B. Just now we say B2B transaction you need to submit. So what are the specific documents you need to submit? Customer invoice, customer debit note, credit note, and refund notes. For B2C, we only need to submit passives. Okay, so this is a simple flow on how our system to submit the e-invoice. So normally the customer use by using Dynamod, and our Dynamod will send the invoice to LCN through API. And LCN, they will send the document status back to us into Dynamod. So our user able to use Dynamod to send the document and also check the document status, whether it's submitted successfully or not. So how do we submit e-invoice? First thing first, you create customer invoice as normal. Okay. After you done create, you will able to see we have a new tab here called e-invoice new. Okay, so in this e-invoice new, you're able to see this script. So I will now talk about this assigned document flow first. So you will see we have two selection, open and ready to submit. So what are the scenario that it will use these two functions? What are these two functions for? Okay, so just now, if you remember, just now I will have a brief explain on our system have two submission type. First is manual submission and second is auto submission. Let's say imagine you are selecting auto submissions. Okay, you set every few hours submit one time. But some of the customer they say, I do want this document to be submit first. I want to check first. Before I check, I do want the system to submit. So how do we control this situation? We use this open or ready to submit button to control this situation. If the document is under open, the system won't submit. If you are under open, the system won't submit. If the document is under ready to submit, the system only will submit. Okay, which means that open is hold lah. Open is holding the document, don't submit. Where ready to submit is the system will submit this document in the next process. Then you also will able to see the customer details. So if you have key in the customer invoice detail before, it will auto log out this detail. If let's say you are creating this document before you key in the customer details, then you can click this tiny button here to log out the customer invoice detail. So just now we talk a lot auto submission, manual submission. So what it actually looks like to submit manually, after you key in all the details, after you save the customer invoice, you can go to more, click on e-invoice sections, and click submit document. So after you click the submit document, you should able to see this pop-up screen. Okay. So in this pop-up screen, you just need to click the submit document button at the bottom. So in 5 to 10 seconds or less than that, you will get your e-invoice status result. So you can see the status will jump from new to valid or other status based on your situations. So what are the status we have? We have new, submitted, valid, invalid, and cancel. New is new document, of course. So what is submitted? So if your document is stopped in submitted, it means that you already sent the document to LHDN, but LHDN there is doing checking. They haven't get personal certificate status yet, so it's under submitted. If your document is stopped invalid, which means that this invoice is successfully submitted with no error, no problem. If you stop in invalid, means that this document have problem. Either your customer data is wrong or either something else is wrong. Okay. So if stop after you get the status, it will show you what are the status. It was submitted successfully. Status is what? Okay. So let's say if you are submitted successfully with valid status, you see we have these informations. You're able to see the document flow and also come with the validation link as well. Okay, so now I will show you what are the documents it will looks like in our system for this e-invoice. Okay, and also I will teach you how to identify this document is valid. So two sections to identify this document is valid or not. First thing is this UUID number, unique identifier number, represent UUID in short form. Okay. So if this invoice is submitted valid, the LHDN then will return us this UUID number. So what is UUID? UUID is actually a record ID from the LHDN side. Okay, so for all of the e-invoice report before you send to your customer, you need to make sure the document have this UUID number. And also we have a QR code at the bottom. So this QR code will only show up when this e-invoice is submitted successfully to LHDN. So when customer they scan this QR code will lead them to the LHDN portal there to check this document status. So before you send the e-invoice document to your customer, you need to make sure the document have these two info. Okay. Next. Okay. So after you submit the e-invoice, you are not able to edit. If you want to edit, if you found something wrong with the document you want to edit, you can request for cancellations. Okay. For cancellations, we have LCA have given us a rules which is the 72 hours rules. So within 72 hours, you able to press cancel. Okay. So same like just now for the e-invoice submission. Okay. You also need to submit in 72 hours also. So same as this cancellation, you also need to submit cancellation approval within 72 hours. So to request cancel, how do we do? You can go to the invoice that you want to cancel. You can click more, e-invoice actions, and click cancel documents. So you show on pop-up screen. So under there, you have a cancel document button. Once you cancel document, you need to fill in the reason that you want. After you fill in, click OK and submit this cancellation form. So you return you a status, which the status is under cancel. If the status is under cancel, it means LSTN approve your cancellation status. They let you to cancel. So you can just click edit. So you can just click edit the details, and resubmit again. So this is under 72 hours limit time frame. So what if you already exceed 72 hours? After 72 hours, you only realize, this document is wrong, we want to do amendment. What should we do? You only can do credit notes. Okay? You only can do credit notes. If you open a credit notes, you knock off the wrong invoice, you submit the credit note to LHDN, then you will need to apply new customer invoice and submit again. So if you are if you want to edit the document after the 72 hours time frame, you only can do credit notes. Okay, repeat again. If you want to edit your document after 70 hours, you need to create credit notes. You need to knock off the wrong invoice, submit the credit note to LHDN first, then you need to go to customer invoice and issue a new customer invoice again and submit the customer invoice. Okay, so also same. If you are submitted successfully for the credit notes, it will show you the validation links for you to fact check. And also, it will show you the original e-invoice with the UID. So this one, it represents you actually is to credit note for each of the document. Okay, so other option is refund notes. So what are the difference between credit note and refund notes? So in what situation we need to use credit note? In what situation we need to use refund notes? Okay, so very simple explanation. Refund notes is where you need to return money back to your customer. Credit note, you don't need to return any money. Where refund note, if you want to return any amount to your customer, then you need to create refund notes. So how to create refund notes? You can go to customer module, transactions, customer refund notes, create a new document, select your customer. Okay, so select your invoice number, the customer invoice number that you want to refund. Provide a reason that you want to refund. Then click this payment details here and select what are the methods that you use to refund to the customer and also how much you refund. So after you done this step, you may just save the document and click more and submit for e-invoice. So this is the credit note and refund note difference, the scenario that I explained just now. So always remember, refund note is where you need to return money back to your customer, where credit note is not involvement on any amount. So this video show you a quick process on how do we submit our credit notes to LHDNs. Okay. Now we go to the B2C transactions. Okay, so how do we submit the B2C transaction to LHDN? In our full system, okay, we have a QR codes in the receipt. Customer, your B2C customer, or can scan the QR codes to submit the e-invoice by themselves. Or we can use Consolidate on a monthly basis to submit to LHDN. So I will explain on this. So this is the customer request invoice flow on our POS system. So in short form, in the basic explanation is customer they request e-invoice. So we will provide you a receipt with the QR codes. Customer scan the QR codes in the receipts. Then our Dynamod able to get the status and submit the document to LHDN. And the LHDN will return us the document status and we show in Dynamod. Okay. So in POS, how do we submit the e-invoice? We have two methods. First method is you manually fill in the form for your customer. Let's say if your customer don't know how to don't know how to scan the QR code, you can help them to fill in the e-invoice by going receipt. Then bottom we have an e-invoice button. It will show up this e-invoice form. Then you can help them to fill in this e-invoice form accordingly. After filling, you can click submit e-invoice to submit this document to e-invoice. So it will return you the status, either it's validated or invalid. So if you want to send the reports to your customer, you can click the button here, send via WhatsApp or email. So if you want to send email, you just type your customer email and send the document, e-invoice document through email. And for this WhatsApp, if you want to use this WhatsApp, you may contact your salesperson, as this WhatsApp function require a subscription basis. So this is the second method that I mentioned just now. Either you help customer to manually fill in the form, or you ask customer to scan this QR code at the receipt. So after the customer has scanned the QR code, it will show you this form on your phone. So in the phone here, you're able to select either the customer want to submit the invoice in personal or for company. So after they fill all the steps, click submit to submit the invoice section. So this QR code, it validates for 72 hours. After 72 hours, this QR code not able to scan again. So this one you need to let your customer mention to your customer as well. Okay, for marketplace. Just now, if you still remember, I said for marketplace, not all the marketplace you will need to submit e-invoice. Okay, so why do I say that? For these three platforms, Shopee, Lazada, and TikTok, this all the market sales from these three platforms, you no need to submit e-invoice to LHDN, as these three platforms, they will help you to submit. So if they help you to submit, then in Dynamod, you no need to submit again. But for others, platform like your own Shopee or your own Facebook sales, your own website sales, then yes, you need to submit it. So how to submit? So also same, you create a customer invoice for your Facebook sales, for your own website sales. You create a customer invoice and you submit by using the general TIN number. For those Shopee, Lazada, and TikTok sales, not they not need to submit the invoice. In the customer profile there, you need to take this button, not applicable for e-invoice. So with this button, our system able to know this Shopee, Lazada, and TikTok no need to submit for e-invoice. Okay, so this one you need to take notes. This button is only for those marketplaces that are not need to submit e-invoice, which is Shopee, Lazada, and TikTok. So by clicking this not applicable for e-invoice, so when you do this customer invoice for these three platform, you will be able to see the document status here is under not applicable. Okay, so just now I mentioned Shopee, Lazada, and TikTok no need to submit e-invoice. So how about your Facebook sales, your own website sales? How do we submit? You can submit in monthly basis, which is consolidate e-invoice. Okay. So also then you need to create a customer ID for them first. But the e-invoice detail here, what do we need to fill in for this type of customer? Okay. So PIN number, registration number you can put PRN, registration type put PRN, registration put NA. PIN number you may put GT10. Okay. Then registration name put NA. Number put ACH, SST, NA. Television text put NA. Then email leave it blank because email is not optional. MSIC ID 50, postal zone 50, city name and country ID. Okay, city name you can put NA, state ID 17 and country ID put MYS. Okay, so actually this setting you actually no need to worry about because if you are doing the consolidate, the system will auto help you to fill it. Okay. So this one, just now I already covered the self-view. So self-view is what? Self-view is where the two scenario supplier, where is overseas supplier, and also those supplier, they are not using e-invoice yet. So just now, this one I covered just now. So here are the basic informations to improve to issue the self-view. So I believe this one, later we'll send a slide to you, you may read. Okay. Okay, so for self-bill, if you have overseas supplier, what do we need to take care on this self-bill invoice? Okay, so you need to take care date, is the date. Okay, so when do we need to issue the self-bill for this supplier? You need to base on the custom clearance date. Okay, so let's say you receive the invoice on October, but in November, your custom only release your stock. So the dates, you need to follow the date of submission, you need to follow the custom clearance dates. Okay. So this one, For self-bill, just now I also cover as well. If for those situations, you need to fill in all the details here, and you need to take this self-bill e-invoice supplier. Okay, so here are the fine tune on how do we do the supply invoice. What should we need to take care on the supply invoice if your supply is overseas? Okay, so these are the basic things that I mentioned just now. Okay, so you will find out if you have take the self-bill invoice supply at the supplier setup page, you see the document type is under self-bill invoice. Okay, supplier PIN is GG30. That I mentioned just now. GG30 is for foreign supplier. Supplier MSIC is 50. State is 70. And country ID, you may select the country ID if you know where your supply comes from. Okay. So this item classification ID, we have few item classification ID, so you may select based on your scenario. Okay. But for my experience until now, if you put 022 also can for now lah. In the user guide, they LHD request us to put, but for now, put 022 also can. So same as a supplier creditor. So you can see actually e-invoice is not that hard. It repeat the same concept, same process flow, just for different perspective. Just now I'll talk about customer. So now I'll talk about supplier. So you see, for the supplier invoice, for the supplier credit note, actually is same with the customer credit notes. Okay. So just one thing different is you see the document type here is under self-bill credit notes. So same as a refund note. For the refund note, we have supplier self-bill, supplier refund note as well. Okay, so also same concept. Either you need to involvement of money or not, involvement of payment or not. If involved on payment, then you need to do refund note. If didn't involve of payment, then you do credit notes. Same concept, but on different perspective. Now you are on supplier. So this is the self-bill concept that I mentioned just now at the start. Okay. So for payment voucher, what are the purpose we need to do payment voucher? Maybe you need to pay for the extra transactions. Okay, so you can go to supplier module, transaction, payment voucher here. You can choose other payment. Bottom here, select the payment ID. What are the payment ID? You can select based on the previous setting that you set on the system. Pay how much? 1,000, for example. Then the bottom is pay for what purpose? You may select the account number, pay on what purpose, and submit it. So this is the payment voucher. So also same. You can see actually the e-invoice detail is also same. You can see the form is same form. So if you have key in the details default, it will auto show here. If you don't have, then you need to type it. You need to key in based on our gut here. Registration name, supplier registration name, supplier TIN number. So supplier TIN number can based on your selection lah. Either is GT10 for local seller or GT30 overseas seller. And registration type, registration number, SSP. If not, if you don't have SSP, then just click on yes. If yes, they have, then you need to key in their SSP number. Transaction tax, same. If you don't have, put an A. If you have, then you can key in the transaction tax. So MSICRD, as I mentioned before, for overseas supplier, just put 50. 50 stand for not applicable. Postal zone, an A. Oh, sorry, postal zone put 50. City name, put an A. State ID, also as I mentioned before, for overseas supplier, put 70. And country ID, you need to select. So also same. After you done submission, if our system will show you the status. You show either it's valid or not, and also you return you a validation link. So this is the e-invoice report for those self-bill. Okay. Also same, we have a unique identifier number. Also same, we have the QR code. But the difference is the supplier here, it will show up different info. Okay. So as you can see based on the video, submit e-invoice is just a few clicks. Okay, so just now we talk about supplier transactions, we talk about customer transactions. How about disbursement and reimbursement? How about employee claim? So what are these two stand for? How do we submit e-invoice for these two? Okay, for those who don't know what is disbursement and reimbursement, okay, this one maybe with many wordings you don't know what is it. Okay, never mind. I'll show you this one more simple. Okay, disbursement is, let's say you imagine, I will use a scenario please to explain. Imagine I am an event planner. Okay, you are customer and you find me, you want to book a hotel for event purpose. Okay, so you give me money, you ask me to book hotel. Okay, you give me money, you ask me to book hotel. So I use your money to ask for hotel, I book hotel. So disbursement and reimbursement actually is kind of similar, but just something different. Okay. As you can see, my company test of event planner customer is you. You find me to make book hotel. Okay. So my company make payment of behalf for customer. I help customer to pay money. So this hotel, they will issue a e-invoice in a customer name for the goods sold. And my company and I will recover the payment for customer as well. Okay. So in this process, e-invoice is not required. So we just issue a normal request bill. Where reimbursement is my company make a payment to hotel, then the hotel issue a e-invoice under my name, under my company name. Okay, so my company, because the hotel is bill e-invoice to my company name, right? So I need to issue e-invoice back to my customer to charge back the customer. So in a short way is reimbursement is you give me money, I help you to book hotel, but the hotel they issue e-invoice to me, not under your name, to me. Then I will need to e-invoice charge back to my customer. Where reimbursement is you want to book hotel, you find me to book hotel. I help you to pay to hotel, but the hotel they issue the invoice straight under your name. So in this situation, I no need to invoice issue again to you. Okay, I just issue a normal bill to charge back the payment. So in these two situations, how do we issue the invoice? How do we do in our system? So this is the scenario that I mentioned just now. Okay, reimbursement. Event planner A incur 30,000 to rent a hotel. So the Smith Hotel, issue e-invoice to event planner A for the rental. So event planner A, they will need to recover the rental cost and charge a service fee to this company. So in this scenario, you can see we still have charged a service charge to this company as well. So in e-invoice document, how do we put? So in e-invoice details, the event planner A, you need to invoice the e-invoice to this company, where the invoice include two different records. The first record is the rental fee, which is the 30,000. Another record is service fee. Okay, so in the e-invoice, we need to key in two amount for this situation. One is the rental fee, another is service fee. So in e-invoice, how do we do? You can go to customer module transaction, of course, open a customer invoice, but the details, how do we put? You can fill the detail you see. Rental fee, we charge for rental, 30,000. And we have another thing called service fee. I have you to book for them. I will need to charge service fee. So service fee, 1,000. Okay. So for this classification codes, it will be different. For the renter, because I pay behalf of for my customer, so the classification codes you will need to change to 027. So this 027 is represent reimbursement. So if you use 027 to submit, and I will share is no this payment is you pay behalf of your customer. Okay, so this is reimbursement. So also same in the e-invoice record when you submit, it will show two details, so it's big, and also the rental fee, the hotel rental fee that you pay behalf of your customer. Okay. So what it will look like in the My Tax Portal. In My Tax Portal, also same, it will show two records, service fee and the hotel rental fee. So just now we talk about the reimbursement document, how do we create reimbursement document, and in what situation we need to create invoice for those reimbursement and disbursement situations. Now we talk about claims. Okay, so I believe more of the company will provide claims that they allow their employee to submit claims. Either is telephone bill, petrol, entertainment, car, or other things. So how do we do for this situation in invoice terms? Okay, so for example, e-invoice issue in the name of the employer. Okay, okay. So employees are required to request for the e-invoice to be issued to their employer for proof of expense or for tax purpose. Okay, we mean meaning that your employee, let's say your employee they go to petrol station, okay. So we have two types of selections. Okay, if your employee they submit their e-invoice under company name, so which means that the petrol station is issue invoice to employer name, then the employer they need to have the document to support that this employee is I'm sorry. So if this service provider, the petrol station is came to the employer's name, then this one you don't need to worry about. But if your employee that submit the invoice is under the employee itself name, then they want to submit claims from the employer. Then when the employer they do the invoice, they need to have document to support this employees under this company. Okay. So in the claim process, if the service provider they claim straight under company, okay, no problem. Okay, because the petrol station straight issue invoice to company. But if the petrol station they issue the invoice to the employee, not in the company, then employee they want to submit claim from the company. Then when the company they submit the self bill e-invoice, then they will need to have the document to make sure that this employee work under this company. So we need the supporting document. Okay, so how to issue is very easy. Just open a self-bill invoice and submit for the claims. So next, we'll talk about the dashboard and submission flow. So dashboard, yes. So what it means by dashboard? E-invoice dashboard is a page that it shows all of the e-invoice submission status, whether it's valid or invalid, whether it's expired or under open or ready to submit status. So which means in one page you can able to see all the invoice status. And e-invoice submission we have different types. We have e-invoice month-end consolidate, which means by you can submit the e-invoice 1 month a monthly basis, and we have grace period consolidate invoice. So what is grace period? Grace period means that LHDN they allow 6 month time for us to adapt to the new e-invoice era, new function. So in this grace period, they allow you to do consolidate. Okay, consolidate for customer invoice only for this 6 months. After 6 months, you're not able to do consolidate customer invoice. Okay. So before we do the consolidate, there's some setting you need to set where you can go to the e-Invoice Malaysia, transactions, then e-Invoice process profile. In here, you can first click the add button to add a record first. After you add a record, then you can click more and click new next e-Invoice process profile to create another month. Because this e-Invoice process profile is create month by month. So as you can see, 1st of April until 30th of April. Then another record is 1st of May until 31st of May. So you can see this record is created month by month. So if you want to create another new month, you can go to more, click new next e-Invoice process file. So double check if the month is correct or not, then click save. So before I teach consolidate, I would like to show you what are the e-Invoice dashboard that I mentioned just now, what it will look like. So you can go to e-Invoice Malaysia, transactions, e-Invoice dashboard. So after you click the e-Invoice dashboard, it will show you the e-Invoice period that you created just now. Okay, let's say I want to see March, all the e-Invoice document in March period. Then I just tick the periods and click refresh data. So wait for system to load all the data. So it will show something like this. As you can see, on top of it, we have 7 different categories. Open, ready to submit. Invalidation means submitted status lah, where it represents you already submit to HDN but still waiting their status. Valid means submitted successfully. Invalid, not applicable means all those Shopee, Lazada, and TikTok sales that you click the not applicable for invoice button just now, you fall under not applicable and expired. Okay, so in here we are able to see all the documents status in one page. Let's say open and ready to submit. This two is our main one. If you want to submit two here, it's okay. You just select the document, right click, and e-Invoice section and submit documents. You also can submit it. Okay, so as you can see, invalidation status means transaction that is submitted to LHDN but pending for LHDN submission risk. Valid is validated successful by LHDN. Invalid is those transactions that are rejected by LHDN, either have an information wrong, either if it's internet problem, either have their server problem. Okay, not applicable is transaction is not required to submit invoice. Okay, so based on the video, right? Let's go back. Okay, based on the video, it shows you can double click the document. So you can double click the document and the system will bring you back to the specific document there. So let's say if you have any invalid document, you can always check in this dashboard, double click this document number, it will bring you to the document number, the specific document number, and at there you can able to check what are the errors. that causing you to submit invalid. Okay. So beside we have a dashboard, we also have a report that show you what are the documents in what status. So this report is in PDF form. So you can go to E-Invoice Malaysia, report e-invoice transaction listing. So we have several filter options here. Either you want to see a specific locations or you want to see specific period of time. What are the document type you want to see? You can also able to select here. Okay. What are the e-invoice document overflow you want to see? Let's say you only want to see invalid one, you can just select invalid. Okay. So you can do all these filter to show you the result that you want to see. So also same with the system. Print is to print out the report. Preview is to view the report. Where save as is to save the report. Either you can save in Excel, PDF, also can. So this is what the reports looks like. It will show you in this open status and what reports and the remaining time is what amount is what submitted for validation, pending for status. So what are the document is under valid? It will show you something like this. Okay, let's talk about consolidate. So consolidate, as I mentioned just now, you can submit your cashiers to see transaction here, business to customer transaction to consolidate. So consolidate is different from customer invoice. Customer invoice you need to submit in 72 hours, right? But consolidate, LCN allow you to submit on monthly basis. So when do I submit the consolidate? So let's say 1st of October until 31st of October, you are having sales. Okay. So the time frame that LCN given us is you're able to submit your consolidate invoice document before next month 7. So LCN they given us a 7 days after end of billing month to submit the consolidate. Okay. But although they gave us a 7 days 7 days submission period, but what are the best day that you submit for e-invoice? Okay, for my experience, if you are using our post system and you have the e-invoice post system, the QR code. Okay, so what are the best day you start doing the e-invoice consolidate? I will suggest you to do the e-invoice consolidate on the 4th day. Next month, 4th day. Okay, the 4th day of the next month. Why? Because you need to imagine you are having sales on 31st of October. And the QR codes, like I said just now, the QR code is valid for 3 days. So you need to imagine your customer when they buy your product on 31st, maybe they are last minute person, they like to scan the QR code on last minute. So you need to reserve few more days for your customer to scan the QR code first. So we reserve 3 days for them to scan the QR code until the 4th day, the QR code is invalid. By that time, you can do the consolidate. So maybe you ask why I must wait for the customer to scan the QR code first before I do the consolidate is because to in our consolidate, our system we will check all the document. Let's say in October you have 100 sales, 100 transaction. 20 of the transaction already submit to HDN. So left over 80 transaction. So our system, before they do consolidate, our system will check what are the document already submit. So if the document already submit, it will exclude out and only submit for those remaining 80 transactions. Okay. And also by submitting consolidate, the system will use general TIN number, which is the GD10 to submit. Okay. So if your customer, they want to use their own TIN number to submit, make sure they submit all first, then you only can do consolidate. So that's why we need to reserve 3 days time to customer to submit the QR code. Until the QR code link is expired, then only we do the consolidate. So I will recommend you start doing the consolidate on next month, the 4th of the next month. Okay. So how do we do for the e-invoice consolidate? You can go to e-invoice Malaysia, transactions, e-invoice consolidate invoice. Then we can go to more, generate consolidate invoice. So you will see a pop-up screen. So the first page is a welcome page. You can just click next. Second page, it will ask you to select the profile period. The profile period is a month period lah. It means which month of the sales you want to submit. So you just click the month, then click next. What are the document type you want to submit? As yours. Next. What are the locations you want to submit for consolidate? Okay, let's say you have multi outlets, then you can choose what are the document you want to submit, what are the location you want to submit. So in this scenario, I submit HQ and also this PT. Click next. You will see a simulate button. So click on this simulate button. You show you want to generate consolidated invoice. Click yes, and it will show these 2 records. Okay, so these 2 records are maybe some of the customer it will show 1 record. Some of the customer it will show more than 2 records. So this record is based on what situation? It is based on your location. If you choose 5 location and if these 5 location have sales, then it will show 5 locations. If you have only 1 location, it will only show 1 record lah. So the total document here. So total document, as I mentioned just now, it will not show all of the document now. It will only show those documents that haven't submit e-invoice. Let's say in this month you have 100 transactions. 20 of the transaction already submit e-invoice. So total document here, you will show 80. And this total amount is the total amount of these 80 transactions. So you can click next. Click this generate button. Are you sure you want to generate consolidate invoice? Click yes. Wait for a while for the system to process the consolidate. So after complete, it will show you process complete. Click OK and click finish to close the screen, close the process. So it will show you a record here, something like this. So this record, either you want to submit manually or wait for system for auto submissions. So if you wait for auto submission, then you just leave it. By the time when the system want to submit automatically, then the system will help to submit automatically. Okay, so you always in this training session, right? You always hear that we have auto submissions. So what is actually auto submission help in our system? So auto submission means you just need to create and save the document. Then system will help you to auto submit. So maybe customer will ask again, you say auto submit, what are the details of auto submit? What are the times that auto submit? Okay, we have 3 types of auto submissions. 3 types of auto submission. First type is after you save the document will straight submit. After you save document will straight submit. This is the first type. Second type is we can set every few hours submit one time. Third type is we actually can set a timer. Let's say I want to set every night 9 p.m. to submit the document. So every night 9 p.m. the system will only submit those e-invoice transactions to LHDN. So by using auto submission, you will always need to make sure the server PC is on and have internet access. Okay, if your server PC is off and do not have internet access, then the auto submission process will not run. Okay, so this setting, we have these three types of setting. So by manual submission is every time you save a document, you need to click more, e-invoice action and submit document. Then it will show you this pop-up screen also. Click submit document. Are you sure you want to submit? Click yes. Then wait for the status to see is valid or invalid. And click OK to finish the process. So you can see actually we have two more columns, either in customer invoice, supplier invoice, or any transaction as well. We have these two columns to let you see whether this document is submitted successfully or not. If show green color with this valid, with this valid means the document is submitted successfully. So if the column is red color, means invalid. If yellow color means pending submitted, pending from LHDN status. So as I mentioned just now, before you do consolidate invoice, you need to make sure all of your customer already submit the invoice through the QR code, because when you do consolidate, our system will use this info to submit. It will use the buyer name as general public, buyer team as GT10 to submit the consolidated sales. Okay, so there are 7 types of disruptions that are not allowed to be used consolidated, which is sales of motor vehicles, sales of air tickets, luxury goods, construction contractors sales, wholesaler and retailer of construction materials, license betting and gaming, and payment to agents, dealers, or even distributors. This one not able to submit for consolidate yet. So for other industries that are not able to issue consolidate, you may seek consultation with your tax agent. Okay, so for grace period, what is grace period? Grace period is in a term is relaxation period. So relaxation period also same. LHDN, they gave us 6 month time for all the user to adapt to this e-invoice. So in within this 6 month time, they allow you to do consolidate for invoice type transactions. Okay, so only for this 6 months. After this 6 months, you're not able to do for invoice type transaction. So how do we do? You can go to E-Invoice Malaysia, transactions, e-invoice grace period, then we have two types. E-Invoice Consolidate Invoice grace period or E-Invoice Consolidate self-bill invoice for grace period. Okay, so don't get me wrong. Just now the consolidate that I showed just now is for B2C. This one is for B2B, only for 6 month grace period only. After this 6 months, you are not able to do this. So the process also same. So you select your customer. Okay, so normally for the consolidated grace period, the details we are using these details. The buyer name will be general public. Okay, so that means that you need to add record, add a customer record. Then the buyer name you need to put general public for the consolidated customer submission purpose. Then the buyer team will be GT10, BRN, NA, address NA, contact, this one all put NA for only for this grace period consolidated purpose only. Then you select this general public that you created just now. So stock ID. The stock ID means how much you sell in total. What are the sales total of this item? Sales total, then you select ID, the total. Then you save. So bottom also same, the e-invoice details. Okay, you may check all the details here. So it's under invoice. Then the buyer registration name is general public. The number is GT10. Okay, then you can click more as e-invoice section to submit this document. Okay, so the submission process is same as previous transactions. Okay, how of self-bill, consolidated self-bill? Also same. You need to create a supplier ID and name as general public as well. So the general public supplier ID details are also same with the customer ID invoice detail. Okay, GT10, other things put in A. And the stock ID is select stock ID. The unit price is the total of sales amount of the month of each item, total sales. Click save. Check either your document for this e-invoice consolidated self-bill invoice is in self-bill invoice document type or not. And check the details. Then you may submit the document by clicking invoice section, submit document. So in this all invoice sections, we will cover how to do setting, how to submit e-invoice, what our system will help in submitting e-invoice, what are the scenario you will need to issue invoice, and how do we see the status in e-invoice. So that's all for this invoice section sharing. So now is FAQ sections. If you have any problem, you may type in your chats and we will reply you. So thank you.
Okay, so actually around the section, there's also some audience, they already asked some question in the chat box, and then our colleague have helped to answer. But while waiting more answer to come up, then we can read through some of the questions and the answer lah. Okay, So first of all, a lot of people I saw that they are, because they are first time to the e-invoicing training section. So there are, one of the concern point is about the 72 hours. Yes, this is the questions asked the most during all the Q&A section. So 72 hours is working hours. How about is it including the weekend or public holiday? Yes, is included. Is included. Is once the e-invoicing submitted for validation, then you receive. If you not agree, then you have to cancel it in the 72 hours. Not then how? If not, then you have to adjust it in the CM, right? So some people ask if the post system, their cash sales is consolidated and sent directly to LHDN. Then the post will automatically send by daily, or they still need to go back to office. So because a lot of the customer, they have the post, they have the B2C sales. So when the B2C sales is already consolidated and sent to LHDN, is it automatically every day by the post, or they have to go back to the office only do the submission?
Okay, thanks, Eunice. So for the question, I will answer that question. So for the question, okay, let's say you are doing B2C sales, all right, and you want to submit consolidate. Okay, so this one is actually depends on your submission type lah. Okay, of course, every month, every next year of the head of the next month, okay, 7 time period, you need to go to the Dynamod there and create a consolidated document. So after you create the consolidated document, right, then it depends on your uh invoice submission type lah. If you choose to manual, then yes, you need to manual submit. If you choose to auto submission, then after you create the consolidated record, right, you just need that the system will auto help you to submit.
Okay, so it depends on which kind of setting that you want to follow. Okay, so if auto, then the system will go through it automatically. You don't need to go back and office lah. Okay, others. How do we check the console e-invoice amount submitted to HDN? Is it matched with the sales? I think there is a listing, right? There's a listing that we can compare. Did we show just now? We show just now. The consolidate means no, the e-invoicing already submitted for validated, and then is correct. Hey, sorry, I just saw the comment. Is my voice too soft? Cannot hear. But I already tuned in the mic very loud. Okay. Never mind. A lot of you asking, is the slide is available? Yes, it's actually this slide. We are using the same slide, training slide for the previous 2 weeks. That we have another section of this training. So it's already at the Smart to You app. If you have already downloaded Smart to You app, is on the download tab. There's a download tab, and then you go to the webinar there. You can see Dynamod e-invoice Dynamod training. There is the same slide that just now Calvin have shown. If you're asking about the video, then we will upload it to our YouTube channel, but because we need some times for the editing and the products or producing of this video, so it might be not 2 days, it might be few days after. So when it's available, already published in the YouTube channel, you can have this video lah. So first of all, you have to go and subscribe it, or you download the Smart to You app. When we already publish, then you will get the notification. So in the apps, you also can redirect you to the YouTube to watch this entire video. Again, so also another questions. What happens if the customer wants to request for the QR code for B2C after the 3 days grace period?
Okay, so I will answer that question. What happens if the customer wants to request for the QR code for B2C after the 3 days grace period? So for this one, uh, we are not able to regenerate the QR codes, but if you want to help this customer to submit the invoice, you can always use Dynamod. You can go to the customer module, transaction, cash there, you find back the customer receipt number. So under the receipt number, there we have an e-invoice tag. So you click the e-invoice tag, bottom there, you are able to key in the customer invoice detail. Then you help them to submit from Dynamod. Okay, we issue cash sales under customer invoice as we do not create new accounts. How does this work? If you create cash sales under customer invoice, then you need to click on the customer invoice type submission flow to submit the invoice document. Okay, because you are creating the cashiers under customer invoice type, so you need to follow the customer invoice type, which means that you are not able to do consolidate unless you're doing grace period. So after the grace period, you are not able to do the normal consolidate. You need to submit one by one.
Okay, so we move on from chat to the Q&A box there. Mhm. Let's see if we able to answer. Okay. If okay, from the first one, first one. What to do with rebate to customer? Is it issue under self bill or customer to e-invoice us?
Okay, so for the Q&A section, first question, what to do with rebate? If or customer to issue invoice to us. This one you need to depend rebate. Okay, rebate. This one you need to pay depends you already create the invoice to customer or not. Okay, or your supplier already create invoice to you already or not. Okay, so we have two situation. First situation, you already create the uh transaction, then you already submit to LHDN. Okay, this is the first scenario. In this scenario, if you already create the transaction, if you already create submit to LHDN, then you need to for the rebate amount, then you need to do CN. Okay. Then, but if you haven't do anything yet, you haven't do transaction, you haven't submit the uh document to the LHDN, then you may include this rebate amount into the document as well. So this one rebate, because your question are a bit general, I don't know your rebate to customer or your supplier rebate to you. So this one you need to depend.
Okay.
It's off topic, but is there a tutorial for consignment part, like setting and print the consignment report? Okay, so in this slide, actually we have a video and also we have the step that cover on this one is consignment.
It's all topic. So you may look for your provider or you look for us after the section. Then
Yes,
we have our colleague to attend to you on the consignment part.
yes, this one consignment.
Yes.
For B2C scenario, if customer do not provide TIN, also do consolidate e-invoice. Yes. For B2C, if your customer they don't want to provide the TIN number, you can do consolidate e-invoice. Okay. But let's say if they want to submit e-invoice, then they must need to give you the TIN number.
Actually, there is some information here to update also. There's a rules updated by the LHDN starting from 1st January 2026. All the transaction above equal to or above to 10,000, these e-invoice must be submitted, cannot be consolidated, can have to be individual e-invoice. So no matter how, the customer have to you have to issue the e-invoice to the customer. So also you might say, customer don't provide TIN, don't know what is the TIN. Then in the post there, also same as the Dynamod there, actually we have the function that to help you to charity TIN. You just need to ask for the IC number lah. Ask for the IC number, then you're able to charity TIN and submit for the e-invoicing. Then actually there is no excuse for they don't give lah, because it's a rules by the LHDN. Okay, it's starting next month. Next year. So you cannot don't give lah, because they have to already. I know it's a bit difficult lah, because we did attend the summit last week. They did say some people they don't give, but that's why it's a norm, it's a practice that government want to slowly introduce that. So when all the people, all the merchant already, everyone asking, then they have no way to say no already lah. Everyone have to do the same thing. This one. Okay. If customer buy things and need request a delivery by Grab, how do you record or submit the e-invoice on behalf?
Okay, this one, if customer fighting and need delivery by Grab, how do I record or submit e-invoice? Okay, so customer fighting from you, you confirm you issue customer invoice, right? Okay, so by that time, you may ask customer either they want to submit e-invoice or not. If they want submit invoice, then you ask for their details, then you key in their e-invoice detail. If they don't want, then you just submit as a general public. Okay, so for the Grab, see if your company support cause delivery charge or not. If got delivery charge, you can include in also. So for this customer buy thing, when you delivery by Grab, I believe is most probably for the B2C transaction is under cash sales, right? So for this type of transaction, if they didn't give you, then you can do consolidate e-invoice. If you are create under invoice, customer invoice, then for the details, you can just put general public and submit.
Okay. Okay, another audience have a questions. If over bazaar sales and they amount over 10K, if cannot consolidate, then how to generate e-invoice? Oh, actually just now that statement that I say the transaction over 10K, which mean it's a single transaction. So for example, some of the hardware store selling the hardware thing, maybe there is a customer buy for the construction material. So in that one single transaction over 10K already, or 10K, exactly 10K, they must have that e-invoice lah. Then it cannot be console. When we receive e-invoice from agent, the agent is a company. Do we need to do self-bill e-invoice?
Okay, so when you receive invoice from agent, do you need to do self-bill invoice? This one you need to depends on your agent because they are the one which issue invoice to you. So you need to depends on them. Uh, then do they help you to submit e-invoice? If they didn't help you to submit e-invoice, then you need to do self-bill. If they already submit e-invoice for you, then you no need to do self-bill. So this one you need to depend on your agent company.
Okay. Next questions. Staff. Okay, staff claims. Staff give their travel expenses claim to company such as meals. Their claim is mileage, not petrol and personal toll statement. So how do I do this claim? So for the staff claim, first of all is actually the staff claim you have to one of the amendment or one of the things they have to do is in the company policy, your staff policy. So the staff claim I think it's not under e-invoicing, but is how do you record for yourself only? You see that, Calvin? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, so for the staff claim or that is actually based on your company policy. Okay, so normally how do you submit? How do you do claim all this with transaction or this payment voucher to your staff? So you just do as normal, but for the e-invoice parts, only need to depends. either the receipt, the stuff, the receipt, let's say you say petrol or that or any receipt, is the receipt they your staff to submit invoice already or not. If they already submit invoice and they use your company name to submit invoice, then you not need to submit the invoice again. But if if your employee they use their name, their own name to submit invoice, then yes, then you need to submit. So this is different only. So only depends. So for my case experience, so most of the company they will set a SOP, say all of the claim don't submit, you pass to company submit. Later they ask your staff to submit themselves, or if I ask staff to submit, customer will submit. So this one you actually it's based on your company policy lah. Company SOP, you need to decide either all the claims you want your staff to submit, so you have no worries, you don't need to handle this, or you want to submit, help yourself submit, or avoid confusion, all that. So this one you need to discuss with your company to set up a SOP.
Okay, I think two more questions. Okay, then we will end the Q&A section, yeah? Okay, the last two questions. If staff have money side allowance in lump sum, do we need to do self-bill or need to incorporate into company policy? I think just now Kelvin already answered this one. Okay. Again, the last questions. If we invoice to government is 10K, then pay us through EP system, and amount we receive later is 9,008 because the MDR. How to record this transaction as we cannot CN government, or can we bill to the EP system? I think this is a bit different because 10K is your sales amount. So invoice is based on the sales amount. 9,008 is the bank record. The bank record that you receive is not same because there will be charges as a commission. Bank record part is not a condition that need to for invoice. So the invoice is on the 10K. But the government is no need the invoice. Yeah. Okay, that's all the questions that we will answer today. Oh yeah, it's already 1 o'clock, so it's so fast. The section passed by. We already have reached towards the end. Before the section end, there's a sneak peek lah. So next month, December, we will still have 2 more sections on the e-invoice topic, where the e-invoice topic we will not go through the basic process like today. We will straight away go to the Q&A part. Q&A, that the questions that we are facing, we have been asked in the daily, or the questions that the normal market they will ask, or also we will create a link. We will create a link that you can fill in your questions, like the Q&A today you fill in now. You can fill in there. Maybe it's a Google form or something. Then we will we'll filter it. Then we will answer those questions in the next webinars lah, for next month. Okay. That's why it's very important. All of you download the Smart to You apps. You get the notification. Get the notification of the webinars for next time. Okay, so I like to thanks Kelvin for giving us the training on the e-invoicing and the handling in the system, and also the colleagues behind that who are helping to answer some of the questions in the chat box and in the Q&A box. Thanks everyone for your patience to stay with us for these 2.5 hours, and also I will hope to see you all again on coming up section. So thank you. Okay, I go back to the slide that where you can download the Smart to You app file. Okay, so today's webinar is ended. I will just stay at this page so you can download the app. See you all again next time. Thank you and bye bye.